Welcome to the broadcast, everybody. This is the first broadcast of April, and so in that spirit it is time for me to remind you to subscribe to this channel if you mean to subscribe to it, or if you found yourself accidentally unsubscribed. But we've had over 1,000 new subscribers in the past week or two, so welcome to you, and welcome to my long-time fruit basketeers. Lovely to see you. My hair's a little bit loosey-goosey today. And so will be this broadcast. I'm not in the mood, and I do not have the time to sit here editing all afternoon, chopping and cutting and getting in all a great big palaver, my dear. So I'm going to be holding forth, and we've got serious business to discuss. I'm going to be throwing a few things down. I'm going to be ranting and raving. But it might be a bit of a ramble. I'm giving you fair warning now, my dear. That is what I'm serving up for you. But I'm planning to serve up quite a number of broadcasts to you over this month in a variety of styles. So you can look forward to that. I'd also like to thank those of you who have sent a tip jar treat towards my direction over the past month to grab a cup of coffee, this sort of thing. It is sincerely appreciated, and I thank you most sincerely for it. I really do. Thank you very much. It means a great deal to me. And it means a great deal for all of you who stop by and leave comments or simply enjoy the show. Thank you for your loveliness. April. I just want to preamble for a couple of minutes before we get into this situation involving Sentebale, because that is what the broadcast is going to revolve around today. The awful situation for Harry and Meghan, which is rather delicious for some of us. And also I will be sharing with you some information that I discovered that involves Catherine and Meghan and the past, catching up with all of them. It's April. It's very spring-like here. The clocks went forward. Gotta get that right there. Yeah, spring forward. Fall back, yes. They went forward an hour. So bright business here. It's been a bright and glorious weekend. I had a rather long weekend, half in town, half in country. And of course it was Mothering Sunday here in the kingdom. And I treated my mother. Very blowy today, by the way. Glorious weather. But blowy, blustery, and it's rattling through my windows. I had my windows done as well. Well, some of my windows. My bay window had new sashes put into it, not in this room, another side of the house. And the old one had been there for decades. Those sashes have been rotting away and rattling away. They couldn't even open anymore. I couldn't even open the window to get the air going all the way through the house, which I like. I like to have all the sashes opened up. And the old version also had secondary glazing, a bay of secondary glazing over it to protect from the noise, because I'm right in the thick of things here, my dear. So that was taken off, and they put in double glazed acoustic glass in the new windows, which I'm very happy with, although there's a tiny scratch on one of them, which I've complained about. I want a new pane. But it is so nice to have nice, new, clear, fresh windows there, my dear. But this is the first big job of dozens of jobs that need doing here. I'm trying not to get overwhelmed by it, but it is a little bit overwhelming. But on Mother's Day, I took Mummy out, and we had a lovely lunch, and we had a delicious roast. It was quite simple, but it ticked all the boxes. Do you understand, my dear? It did the job. We began with a chicken liver pate, pear and apple chutney with the pate on ciabatta toast. And then we both had the roast lamb, shoulder of lamb, with mint sauce for me, and all of the trimmings. And then for pudding, it was a sort of lemon posset with fresh raspberries, and honeycomb, actually, and ice cream. And also at the weekend, I saw Lorna Luft in Cabaret. And I wasn't going to go because a friend of mine who I was going to go with couldn't make it. But I ended up hearing the voice of Liza Minnelli in my head. Life is a cabaret. What good is sitting alone in a room? Come hear the music play. So I went on my own to watch Lorna Luft, who is Liza Minnelli's sister, you understand. Lorna Luft is the second daughter of Judy Garland. And I've seen her before, and I've spoken with her before. But she was playing at Crazy Coq's, which is a tiny little, intimate, beautiful cabaret lounge at Brasserie Zedel in Piccadilly Circus, just off. And it was absolutely delightful evening. And so I was sitting at the table. As soon as I walked in, I made friends with a pair of two gals, two lovely ladies who happened to be there, and didn't know them from Adam. We got on famously, my dear. absolutely famously. We spent the whole evening together after Lorna had finished playing, and we were up until gone midnight, putting the world to rights, my dear. So it was a wonderful time, actually. And Lorna was fabulous, of course. She was in blue sequin. Oh, my hair's falling down, isn't it? Oh dear, John Galliano effect. And she sang a variety of old Broadway songs. The American Songbook it was focused on. And she sang a lot of Burt Bacharach and a lot of songs that you would associate with the likes of Cilla Black or what's her name? Dionne Warwick. A lot of those, my dear, which was lovely. But of course, when she sang, what's the one from Meet Me in St. Louis? When she sang, the Christmas song. How can I not? Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Yes, she did a bit of that, my dear. And, it was wonderful. It was, you could shut your eyes and hear the family pipes, should we put it that way? And of course, Judy Garland is my hero. So it was a real treat to see that. Right, I need to get on with this broadcast, don't I, my dear? Need to get on with it and stop paddling away. And I'm going to hold forth on Harry and Meghan and Sophie Chandauka. But I'll let you know that this is a very nuanced situation. There are very many angles, and there is no innocent party, by the way, other than the royals and Catherine and William. There's no innocent party here, and there is no absoluta victima, do you understand? All three, Harry, Meghan and Sophie Chandauka, in my personal opinion, are mischief makers of some kind or the other. And so I'm going to share my outrage, pull up a throne and put the kettle on, my dears, and join me for the River broadcast. Well, when I last spoke with you at the early stages of this drama as it unfolded, I told you that the deliciousness that we may revel in and savour is the fact that Harry, and to some extent Meghan, have been markled. I made that very clear. And not just markled with recollections that may vary, but also with their reputations and their brand in tatters in the face of another proud, confident woman of colour and her truth, because that's what we've been hearing from this time. Her story, Sophie's truth. And Sophie controlling the narrative in the way that they like to do so much, and tugging at the heartstrings in a way that Meghan told Jason Knauf that she was wont to do for Daddy. But also, they have not just been markled and had a taste of their own medicine, but they've been harried. There are games taken from Meghan's playbook and games taken from Harry's playbook. They've been harried because he has always been the viper in the nest, the turncoat and the traitor, the amiable, hail fellow well met, who is also at the same time your worst enemy in disguise, and look no further than Prince William for that, the brother, and also as endured by his father, the king, and his stepmother, the queen, his sister-in-law, Catherine, and even down to the Wales children, this has repercussions for. And all of us, the people of the kingdom, of all colours, betrayed by this turncoat who disparaged us all. Do you understand? Is this not karma on stilts? And if it isn't, what exactly do you call it? I actually wonder if there has been but 1 minute throughout this week of turmoil for Prince Harry, where he has actually paused for a moment of self-reflection, for recollection, and some regret and some remorse. But we know the answer to that, don't we, my dear old friends? No, of course he wouldn't. He wouldn't reflect for a single moment. The eternal victim. And by the way, when people ask, why is this still a problem? This was years ago they disparaged the royals. Why can't you get over it? It's not a question of not getting over it, my dear. It is not nice behaviour, isn't it? And it's not nice behaviour. He never apologised for anything, nor did his wife, and he was never made accountable for anything. Not one moment of it. although he expects everyone else to be accountable and fall over in apologies. Do you understand the hypocrisy? So I, like many, will offer a robust defence of the monarchy, the family, and this kingdom. But let's turn for a few moments to the Sky News interview, where Trevor Phillips interviewed Sophie Chandauka, and she was also joined by Ian Rawlinson, who is trustee and consultant at Sentebale, and also is very closely associated with Prince William. None other than Prince William. So that's quite telling, isn't it? That tells you all you need to know, in some respects. And by the way, Trevor Phillips, I wouldn't laud for his interview techniques. I thought that he was tripping all over his words and his script, and he interjected a little too much and interrupted Sophie Chandauka when he needn't do, so I thought that was a bit amateur. But nevertheless, he was still able to get a lot of the juice out of the situation, and actually that's because Sophie was willing to go there. Sophie Chandauka was very willing to go there, and she was very cool and very calm, very calculating, possibly. That's for you to decide, well, whether or not her truth is the truth. She successfully set down a synopsis or a chain of events and scenarios as she sees them, as Sophie Chandauka sees them. And it's got to be said that she didn't obfuscate in any apparent way or shy away from difficult questions, awkward questions, or from the implications of her accusations. She backed herself, and she implicitly stated that donors for the charity were put off and in fact went walking. They were walking away because of the prince's reputation. She actually told us this. She tells us of Harry's toddering ways. You know, we speak about him toddering here and toddering there. This prince toddles everywhere. Here I come to save the day. That's old Harry for you. Appointments made, so she says, without due consultation. You know, she is the chairman. And him coming out with all sorts of things and making decisions that were not on the agenda, so she says. She describes an environment of subservience to Harry and having a fear of challenging him. You know, others in the environment and trustees having this fear. She said, when the prince is in the room and no one has the courage to speak. And I will tell you, my dears, knowing that I could very well be mistaken, that my instinct is that Sophie Chandauka is behaving as a woman scorned. And as we all know, hell hath no fury, my dear, as a lady or lady boy scorned. And I think that she is to some degree creating mischief and lacing the recipe with pepper. That's my own personal opinion. But these accusations that she makes of misogynoir and this kind of thing only seemed to come to light when she was invited to stand down, didn't they? Well, what may have more merit than some of those complaints are the assertions of hers that Harry demanded statements defending Meghan from bad press regarding the polo trophy tussle, which we all remember so very well, don't we? Some say, of course, or some joke, that, you know, Meghan was yanking around this trophy and pushing her and shoving her and being rude towards Sophie. Others, and quite a number actually, who are somewhat in the know, have told me that Meghan actually was trying to be polite and that she politely invited Sophie to be better placed and more central, sort of stand there in the middle of the girls. I know this flies in the face of lots of rumours and what people say, but this is a distinct possibility that her actions have been misinterpreted. We now know, of course, that there was already existing friction between Sophie and Prince Harry after the venue had been switched for the polo match. And, of course, the surprise appearance by Meghan, I'm not coming, yes, I am coming. I'm not bringing a friend, yes, I am bringing a friend, and it's Serena. Surprising everybody, and surprising Sophie Chandauka. But what I found very interesting, and what I'm delighted to tell you, is what I have been told by two very well-placed sources, very close to the Sussex machine, as Sophie Chandauka puts it. Very close to it. And for legal reasons, I will tell you this is what I've been told. It is not what I know as fact. You are free to make your own assumptions and evaluations and think what you want. But this is the suggestion that's been whispered to me and what I've been told that has happened. I have been told that the reaction to the press reaction and the social media reaction to the trophy tussle, Sophie's trophy and the Tushy tussle, triggered the Duchess of Sussex because it triggered her memories of being accused of making Catherine cry. Everything came rushing back to her, and she was angered, she was frustrated, she was distraught, and she wanted to put everybody right on this. No, I didn't make Kate cry. Kate made me cry. And then she came to me with flowers and apologies and grovelling, and she owned it. Well, it was exactly the same case with this, my dear. She was distraught and triggered. And she began appealing to Harry and tugging on the heartstrings, as she loves to do. And of course, Harry couldn't bear to watch this. Harry, old Alpha Beta Harry, he'd sorted out the situation with Willie when Kate insulted his wife. He sorted all that out. Here I come to save the day. Because I'm so gallant and my wife relies on me to sort everything out and save her, I'm a real hero because I todger it here and there, and I'm the cock of the walk. We had all of this absurdity of Catherine sending flowers to Meghan in apology and owning it, as Meghan says. Well, it was actually decided that Sophie Chandauka needed to own it in the same way, because Meghan was so affronted and so very upset that the press were accusing her of all sorts of things, of being mean, which could actually be a very fair assessment, because Meghan could have been, in her mind, being very polite to Sophie. Well, she was so disparaged, she felt, that she made it very clear to her husband that Sophie needed to own it and make good and shape the narrative on behalf of the Sussex machine. And Sophie Chandauka, as you will know, faces accusations of being dictatorial. Well, these sort of issues and problems with hierarchical dynamics and all these little scraps take place in every office or company up and down the kingdom and way beyond, don't they, my dears? We're all privy to them, we've all seen them, we've all been involved in them, we've probably all been the goody and the baddie at one point, and vice versa. Do you understand? We all experience these issues of toxicity and jealousy and up and downs in governance, whether you're working at a hair salon or the trading floor or a film production studio or the brothel. Wherever it is, my dear, it happens all over the place, so it's nothing unusual. And of course, Meghan was the one who was accused of the same thing by the Sussex survivors at the palace, wasn't she, back in the day, backed up by Jason Knauf. She's always got somebody in her sights, he said. Always set somebody in her sights. So she's experienced the same accusations. Well, a leader must be allowed to lead. And Sophie Chandauka said, what you have is entrenchment. You don't mark your own homework, and turkeys don't vote for Christmas. Sophie Chandauka says that she came along with a new attitude and with fresh ideas, and they were not well received. Does that remind you of anybody? And their tenureship in the royal family? Of course, it's Meganian, but the difference is that Sophie Chandauka was surely placed to make adjustments and improvements to Sentebale. That was her role, that was what she was brought in to do. Meghan was not placed to change the culture or to improve royal households. No, that was not her role, my dear. She was placed to thank her lucky stars and to keep a stiff upper lip, as illustrated so elegantly by William and Catherine and Charles and Camilla and all the other royals. And she was brought in to quietly devote her life to service and to duty. But she was more boobless. And she couldn't make bazillions and gazillions doing that. And she had to wear neutrals. I couldn't wear brights because I would upstage them all. I had to wear turd-coloured hats and beige and browns and neutrals. And I still do. I guess I fell into the habit. So at least Sophie Chandauka has a potentially good reason for her chagrin. Not least because, according to Sophie Chandauka, Harry sprung a Netflix camera crew on the plans that were being made for the polo match in Miami. She said a lot of people were unhappy because we'd worked on this for months, and Harry todgers in again, telling them all how it's going to be done and bringing them into his own tawdry cabaret. Remember this, Sentebale is not supposed to have anything to do with the vulgar shenanigans of his merching enterprises. And he todgers in, he muscles in, oh yeah, this will raise some funds, a bit of Netflixing, that always worked, a book, a bit of Netflix, I know exactly how to raise funds. Making the assumption that people are happy to go along with being associated with all of this vulgarity. Harry's appeal has been drastically reduced over the past few years, but there are still those out there who adore him, and many, many, many people who know him and have worked alongside him for years absolutely adore him. There is no denying this, my dear. And Sophie concedes that she got on famously with him. She says that she thought he was absolutely fantastic. When she's asked if he specifically showed any misogyny towards her, this kind of thing, well, she doesn't say that he does. She says they got on great. But as we all know, there is a Hyde side to this Jekyll that hints at his arrogance and his entitlement and his pugnacity. When Prince Harry hears Bonnie Tyler strike up with Holding Out for a Hero on the radio, he thinks that it's an ode to him. He thinks that it is an ode to him. Hold it out for a hero till the morning light. He's got to be big and he's got to be strong and fresh from the fight. Well, you might be fresh from the fight, Harry, but you're not strong and you ain't big like Willie. Sophie says, Prince Harry asked me to issue some sort of statement in support of the Duchess. And I said I wouldn't, not because I didn't care about the Duchess, but because I knew what would happen if I did so. She says that she thought that Meghan would have experienced even more trolling and been disparaged even more online, and she's right. And because we cannot be an extension of the PR Sussex machine. Ouch! Hoo-hoo! Sophie! Sophie's going in for the kill, isn't she, my dear? And Sophie is given the opportunity to comment more on the trophy tussle moment at the polo match, but actually I thought that she cosseted that information for herself. She did not disparage the Duchess for one moment, nor did she defend or praise her. She's sticking to her guns there and cosseting any further details about that conversation and that moment for herself. Perhaps because she knows that it would actually exonerate Meghan, and perhaps Meghan was saying only nice things to the gal. You have to consider this as well. And she talks about how Prince Harry tried to eject her from the charity in the wake of all of this. And then she says, Prince Harry started to brief sponsors against me and the charity. Oh, how the tables turn. How the tables turn. This is exactly what Prince Harry himself accused Kensington Palace of doing to him, isn't it, my dears? I mean, you couldn't make this up. It seems that in the last week or so, everything that Harry has ever done with regards to him making accusations against everybody else and slurring everybody else has come back to haunt him. And they're being held straight back at him. Actually, it highlights the immaturity and the hopelessness of all of this he says, she says business and this kind of commentary. And it shows and illustrates to the world exactly why the maxim has always been never complain, never explain. There is a very good reason for it. It works. It works. Do you see how William and Catherine continue to soar in everybody's estimation, even the King and the Queen's? Never complain, never explain. Whereas all Harry and Meghan want are explanations and to keep complaining. It's their modus operandi, and it seems to be their absolute desire for life. Harry and Meghan, you have to understand that just because you think you're right, and you might be right, you're not the only one that thinks that you're right. Sophie Chandauka thinks that she's right. Jason Knauf thinks that he's right. Graydon Carter thinks that he's right. Lizzie Cundy thinks that she's right. Everybody involved in this whole drama over the last few years. Catherine, William, Dan Wooten. Who else? The Markles, Sammy, Tom Jr. and Senior. They all think they're right, darling. Lots of people do, but they can't all be right. And that is when silence is golden and elegant. Truly elegant. And it's more effective than endless, infinite statements and rebuttals and defensiveness. That is vulgar, and moreover, it is weak. Learn the lesson, Harry. Take it on the chin and learn the lesson, because the more you spit out your dummy. For those of you in other parts of the world, a dummy is what's known as a pacifier in other quarters. We call it a dummy. He is a dummy, and he's been sucking on a dummy, but the more you spit out your dummy to defend the reputation of your pseudo-mummy, the more you spit in the sky and it lands in your eye, Harry Sussex. But when do you think he will learn the lesson, my dears? When the apple grows on the lilac tree? Now, when Sophie is asked about her accusations of harassment and bullying and what exactly she means, then Sophie points to Prince Harry's recent statement that was released to the world, and she says that that is an example of harassment and bullying on a grand scale. Well, personally, I think that she's reaching a bit, and that it is a bit of a stretch, and I think it's part of mischievous behaviour on her part. That's just my hunch. And her time to play the race card or the feminist card, whatever card it is, my dear of the day, it's simply her time to play it. But she says that regarding misogyny, some individuals on the board didn't treat me as they did the prior chair, and she says it's because I'm a woman. Well, it could be for a million reasons, my dear. Maybe it's not just because you're a woman. That's how you've processed it. We know that she insisted about all of this ooh la la misogynoir coming her way. I just think that it's very unlikely. Could be wrong. I think all of that's sophistry. But having said that, it is very difficult, isn't it, my dears? Very difficult to feel an iota of sympathy for others who abused every card, from the race card to the colour card to the misogyny card to xenophobic card to unconscious bias card. It's very hard to feel sympathy for them. Don't play a player, Harry or Meghan, because you've met your match in Sophie Chandauka, haven't you, my dears? You have met your match, and she's playing a blinder. Well, from the ashes of all this emerges Alex Rayner, who is a chum of Harry's from the Eton days and used to go expeditioning around the North Pole with Harry and this sort of thing. Well, apparently he was given authorization by Prince Harry to pipe up with his two penneth. And he said, H. Apparently everyone calls Harry H these days. H is very happy for me to speak for him about how he feels about this awful situation. He is just beyond heartbroken. You don't have to say beyond heartbroken. Heartbroken is enough. The heart is broken, so you can't go beyond that, my dear. Why do people do this? Hyperbole. He is just beyond heartbroken and flabbergasted that the charity he founded as a teenager has been taken hostage by the chair. It feels, the chair's taken me hostage, help! My throne. It feels tantamount to a hostile takeover. Well, they held the royal family hostage, didn't they, my dears? And it was a hostile takeover at Kensington Palace. So go suck salt. If that's true, if what Alex Rayner tells us on Harry's behalf, go suck salt. At the moment, he is just in total shock about what is being said and the accusations being made. Oh, boo-hoo. Well, so are the King and the Princess of Wales. In shock by your accusations, but they responded elegantly by not responding at all. Where was your statement, Harry, at that time? to ameliorate the public discussions and the public outcry backing up your claims. Where were you when you could have said that they were not racist? In 4 words and 2 seconds, that's all it would have taken. But instead we had tumbleweed and radio silence coming from Montecito. Alex Rayner then goes on to suggest, no doubt, because he heard it from Harry's lips, no doubt, that all of this may have sprung up from Sophie's jealousy of Meghan. This is what Harry's obviously told him. And if you didn't, Harry, sue me. Oh yeah. Catherine was so jealous of Meghan. Oh, waity Katie. And the late Queen was desperately envious of Meghan and so jealous of her talents. Even Sasha Walpole, so jealous of Meghan. Even River, oh, just green with envy over that wastrel, that talentless cretin, that creature who thrives on division and controversy. Of course we all are, my dear, of course. Well, regarding the trophy tussle moment, this Alex Rayner, friend of Harry's, says the chair should never have let that narrative take hold that Meghan had caused an issue. They could have issued a statement and put a stop to it, but they did not. It wouldn't have put a stop to it, Alex Rayner. Gloria Gaynor. It would have fueled the fire. Do you not understand that? Sophie may be mischievous and she may be wrong or having varying recollections of her own, but one thing she is dead right about is the fact that any statement coming from her, first of all, should not have been demanded by Harry at all, if that's true, and it actually would have simply fueled the fire. Eton produces some real dolts, doesn't it? And this all comes down to folie à deux, my dears. Folie à deux. They are the perfect catastrophic mix. Meghan, triggered yet again by her reputation being so sullied and the damsel in distress. This is bringing back all the memories, all the memories of when Kate was so cruel to me. And she made me cry, and I just sobbed. I just spent days sobbing, pondering over my life, and if I should really be here. And she brought me to my knees. She was such a cruel, wicked woman. And eventually she owned it, because you made her do it, Harry. She owned it, and she brought me flowers. And she grovelled to me, the rightful queen, the rightful wife to her husband, Big Willie. I mean, of course, her brother-in-law, you, Harry, my darling big little Tudge that I've been stuck with, chewing on like a pencil, and like one of those little carrots that I grow in my garden, those orange little baby carrots, which I love to devour. She made me cry. She wants to be rescued by Harry, even though she doesn't need a man to rescue her as a proud, confident woman. A proud, confident woman of colour, so don't bring that misogynoir to my door. But she appeals to him while giving him succour. And I'm not talking about S-U-C-K. Oh, no. Succour. S-U-C-C-O-U-R. She gives him succour while she does it. They are the house of Succour, Sussex. He hears Bonnie Tyler in the background holding out for a hero, and he rolls up his sleeves and the hero springs into action. Here I come to save the day. Like Mighty Mouse he thinks he is. What I'm saying is they are hopelessly addicted to the thrill, the sensual thrill of the romance, of the friction that is caused by these inexhaustible, inexhaustive dramas that keep cropping up. If Sophie Chandauka is a mischief maker, if she is a poisonous woman, as she's been accused of being in the press by others, then the only surprise, Harry, is that you didn't marry her before Meghan got her hands on you. That is the only surprise. Because either she is the template for Meghan Markle, or Meghan Markle is the template for Sophie Chandauka. You've been markled and you've been harried. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. If any of the criticism being received by Sophie Chandauka that's coming in towards her and calling her poisonous is true, then she is in fact Meghan Markle on stilts. And we, and my basketeers and I, and the rest of the world are going to sit back munching on our popcorn while we enjoy the circus, this tawdry cabaret. Why would anybody rush to your defence and put anybody right about her when you sat back and watched your nearest and dearest and so-called beloved ripped to shreds by the rest of the world? I've said it before and I will say it again. Revenge is a dish best served with flour sprinkles. Bon appetito, and with love and as ever, toodle pip.